Rebel Gaming Club, welcome guys. I am Dan. This is another pickup show. And this week we're doing all vinyl. All vinyl. All goodness. We're going to have a lot of fun. Talking some music. You get to see what I like for music. And that's kind of fun. I'm always intrigued, right? When I meet people for the first time, the first thing I ask is, do you like music? And if they fire back, yeah, I go, okay. What do you like? I like a little bit of everything. Conversation's over. If you say that, that's your answer, that means you probably don't like music and you'll listen to anything that's out there and you really don't care. You don't give a shit. So, yeah, I'm always... But if someone's like, oh, well, my favorite band is Arcade Fire, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute here. Okay, let's talk about this. And you're always curious, if you like Arcade Fire, what was before that and how did you get there? I love it. I love tracking where these came from and how this influence comes into your life and how you hear about it. So we got a lot of records. We're going to get to it. Before we do that, I had the worst thing happen to me this past week. My basement flooded out. This right here, this room flooded out. Like that much water on the floor. I know it doesn't seem like much, but when it's across the whole basement, it was. I had to throw away a ton of records. My whole Disney collection that I probably had 100 plus Disney records from the 60s, 70s, all into the trash. Broke my heart. It also hit my bubblegum, late 60s bubblegum collection records. I saved a lot of those. I dried them out, pulled them apart because there was enough distance off the ground, but they still got damaged, but not to the point where I was going to throw them away. Where my Disney, it was just, there was no saving it. So it's been like 40 hours cleaning up, like wet vacuuming, fans everywhere, because it's all rug down here. Thank goodness it's like really thin rug, so you could like kind of suck it up. But we're back to normal finally. Like I said, we got a bunch of records. We're doing it right now. And these are over the last few months. Don't think that I've just bought these in the last week, because if I did, I'd be really broke right now. So this is like months worth of stuff. The first one I got was a record. I knew about this band a couple years ago, and I've fallen in love since and dig just about everything they do. But their first album that I heard was this Volume 1, and this is Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats. And look at that cover right there. If I had to describe Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats, I would say think about Black Sabbath meets T-Rex. Like there's this glam, sludgy goodness, and the vocals are on point. I love it. Super catchy. The riffs are super catchy. And this first album is really trashy too. The production, it's got like this kind of lo-fi thing going on. Love it. I mean, I love all their stuff, but this one especially. I paid a little bit for this. I've always wanted it, so we finally got it. Next up, found this at the thrift. This is Hall & Oates live at the Apollo. You know, and it's with David Ruffin and Eddie Kendrick from Temptations, so that's kind of cool too. I don't know this live album, but it's Hall & Oates. It'll probably be alright. One of my favorite punk records of all time. This was a game changer. Rancid's Out Come the Wolves. I saw them, well, yeah, it would have been right on this tour, I do believe, because they played Lollapalooza, what, 94, 95, somewhere in there. So whenever, because they played a lot of these songs. I learned how to play ska guitar to this album. This is how I learned. Time Bomb. It took me weeks to figure out what they were doing. But I learned it. Classic, beautiful album. Glad to have that on vinyl finally. An album that came out, well, what, 2010 maybe? RCR, River City Rebels, my band, was kind of, we're slowly coming to an end. And, on tour, this was an album that got played a lot And well, we fell in love with it. This is kind of electronic, glam, goodness, really, really poppy. This is the first MGMT record. Bunch of classic songs. Time to Pretend, Electric Eyes, Kids. Awesome album. Unfortunately, these guys, I don't think ever kind of captured that essence of what they did here. Again, they released multiple albums, and just the synths are so fat and chunky, and the grooves are good. Big fan. We got Rick Springfield. But this is Rick Springfield in what, 1975? Because he was part of a cartoon. He was like, they were trying to make him a pop idol, a bubblegum star. Mission Magic was the name of the show, the cartoon, short-lived. But they released a whole album for songs from the TV show. So it was geared towards, young teenage kids. But still pretty cool. I love that art. I didn't realize he was from Australia. Rick Springfield. You all know Jesse's Girl, but yeah, 1975, goodness right there. We found this at Target. I love the White Stripes. And I didn't want to buy all the albums individually because they're really kind of pricey. So when I saw they had the greatest hits with the slipcover at Target for like 25 bucks, I popped on it. Awesome, awesome group. And this has all the hits. So I don't, I'm good with that. I can live with having the hits on vinyl. Chris Speeding. This album is called Hurt. This is a good album. Chris Speeding is one of those artists that kind of gets overlooked and forgotten from the UK 70s. He was producer, guitar player, played on a bunch of records. I mean, a ton. If you look him up, you'll see his resume. It's pretty good. He went out to play with Robert Gordon, who was like a kind of a rockabilly resurgence guy in 1980. Came around. Really good rock and roll. So we're happy to add this to the collection. It was cheap. It was like $5. My favorite Social Distortion record by far, White Light, White Heat, White Trash. Oh, the guitars on this sound so big. The bass guitar is so chunky. Everything about it, it's a near perfect record. And this is one of those ones that came out mid-90s. There's not a dud on this album. I would take this from start to finish. So it was a must-buy on vinyl. Early punk rock stuff, X-Ray Specs, Germ-Free Adolescence, wonderful stuff. I'm happy to have it. 1978. My favorite Bad Religion album, Stranger Than Fiction. Another one where mid-90s, and they had their, I think, one single that kind of broke through on mainstream radio, which was 21st Century Digital Boy. But the whole album, the production's so big, sounds great. And I think I would have seen them maybe like a couple years later live. So I definitely saw them in high school in the 90s. And they were wonderful. We finally got some Velvet Underground in Nico. Iconic record. I want a whole collection of the Velvets, just because I love Velvet so much. Snag this up. We got this Joe Strummer Assembly album. It's kind of like his greatest hits from all his solo stuff he did. So starts out with Coma Girl, Johnny Appleseed, I Fought the Law Live. I think it's the stuff he did with Mescaleros and stuff like that at the end of his life. I can honestly say the day that I heard that he had passed away from a heart attack, I legit cried. Like, it was a sad moment. I had the chance to see him live, and I was like, you know what? I'll see him next time he comes through. Obviously, there wasn't a next time, so it just goes to show. But what a voice, what a songwriter. Love it. So now we have a greatest hits little collection right there. The packaging is beautiful on this too. And if you guys don't know, Joe Strummer was the singer of The Clash, just to clarify this. We got this Beauregard, which was, he's a wrestler from the West Coast, Northwest, Portland area, I do believe. Beauregard. And what's impressive besides the cover? This is like, so what was it say? Psychedelic Soul Wrestling Masterpiece is the tagline they do to sell it. But it features Greg Sage of the Wipers. It was like his first recording. He must have been like 17 years old or something. And I love the Wipers. So as a purist, I needed to get this. And I like wrestling, especially old wrestling. So novelty record, but good for the collection. Psychedelic Furs, God, Forever Now album, classic right here. I saw the Psychedelic Furs a few years back. I had just stopped drinking, so it would have been like, what, 6-7 years ago. I just stopped drinking. It was like the first show I went to sober. I was like, how is this gonna go? I was front row. Let me back it up. Psychedelic Furs came to my town, White River Junction, Vermont, to perform, which blew my mind. So the $70 ticket, no problem. Let's do it. I don't care. They're coming to White River Junction to play a venue. I grew up across the street. It's the shitty White River Junction. So it blew my mind. Obviously the Furs at that point, older, much older, but they still brought the heat, and the catalog is so good. So I'm trying to have the whole catalog for them as well, because I love it. I love it. You guys all know Pretty in Pink and stuff like that. Love My Way. Those were hits. But the Alright, sorry about that. The camera just filled up. So Psychedelic Furs, awesome stuff. Like I said, we got a bunch of records, so we're getting through them. We got some Cat Stevens, Back to Earth. I don't know this album by Cat Stevens, but I do love me some Cat Stevens. So, another one for the collection. My favorite Psychedelic Furs record, Mirror Moves. I just look at that cover right there. It's beautiful. It's got a bunch of hits on it too. If you're going to start with the Psychedelic Furs anywhere, start with Mirror Moves. I think this is a good place to start. W.C. Fields, pretty much voice clips from his movies. Yeah, W.C. Fields, pretty good stuff. And there goes my my heater. We keep going through these. Artful Dodger, Honor Among Thieves. Artful Dodger was a power pop group from the Midwest. What they're from, maybe Virginia, but they always played Ohio. Awesome. There's like 4 albums. They didn't really catch on. No one gave a shit about them. I love them. I care about them. So maybe you'll care about them. Artful Dodgers. Alright guys, my bad. So as you can see, the video just cut off again. I'm editing the video right now. So what? I gotta get my shit together. It's early in the morning. It's a Tuesday morning. It's like 8 in the morning. I'm going to get my shit together. In the meantime, that's the end of the video this week. As a little bonus, I'll throw in a performance from my band, River City Rebels, back in 2010. We went to Europe, and here's a song we did in Europe. So, until next time, guys, do what you do, and toodaloo.
Isolation of lost desperation. And it's nice to meet you both. The name is Homeless Alone. And my views been this song. The less I see, the more I feel. 'Cause it's me, starting materialize to believe that. From my past, some stolen song, but at last, dreams are like drugs. When did you say? In a picture bed, I wake. Today is like yesterday. The moon is no break to do those demons. To offer anything.